and we're live.
All right, hello and welcome to BCH Blaze. The hacking period has officially commenced. So if you are watching this sitting at home or in your office, wherever you are, feel free to let this run in the background and get cracking on your BCH Blaze hackathon projects, because your 8 days of hacking has already begun. So best to make full use of the time. But you might also just get a piece of paper and just jot down some ideas as we give you a little extra information about that. I'm Jeremy. I'm the host of the Bitcoin Cash podcast and also one of the Blaze co-organizers. I'm joined here today by Jonathan, one of our Blaze co-founders as well. Jonathan, quickly say hi.
Hi.
And also Emergent Reasons, one of the judges from Blaze.
Hello.
So we'll check in with those guys and get their thoughts on the event very shortly. But of course, we have on the Dora Hacks page with the links in the description all the information that you need to catch up on everything to do with Blaze. But we're going to go over some of the most critical points just now, in case you haven't caught all of that. So if you're going to watch any of the streams, this is the one to catch. And we're also going to check in, of course, on what the judges think and how you can best get some of those juicy prizes. Okay, first things first. Today is Saturday, the 15th of November, which means it is a bank run day. The BCH community coordinates on the 1st and 15th of every month to withdraw all their Satoshis from centralized exchanges. This is to reinforce the idea of self-custody and also to potentially expose exchanges that are known to manipulate the BCH price with coins that they don't have. But of course, not your keys, not your coins. So to the extent that the BCH community can constantly withdraw from the exchanges, it puts pressure on them, pumps the price and encourages them to go scam somebody else other than the BCH community. So if you are listening to this and you have any of your coins sitting on exchanges for any reason, time to take them into self-custody. We also have an announcement of CashGripped. They have released CashGripped v 0.13 next.1, which fixes some edge cases with the loops, which you would want to be using for the Blaze hackathon. So Blaze builders should use the most recent @next version for building in Blaze. So just a heads up about that if you're playing around with the latest tooling. Okay, we also have a cash stamp from our sponsor. Thank you very much to Cash Stamps. They let us give away some Satoshis on stream. And this is a great way for you to also onboard new people to BCH. You can go to stamps.cash and make a whole set of them, and then you can print them out and hand them out to people in real life as you're onboarding people, or you can do it online via QR codes, screenshots, or however you want to do it. It's actually very, very effective, I've found, because people love the concept of a physical thing. It almost feels like you're getting a physical paper note that people are more familiar with, and then they scan it onto their phone and they're kind of like, wow, that was pretty cool. We didn't have to register or sign up or anything. So thank you very much to stamps.cash for sponsoring this event. Okay, so the main game, what are we here to do? We're all here to compete and win prizes at Blaze. So let's just go over again where we are at with the prizes. So we have 2 tracks, the ChipNet track, which is the bigger one and requires the Layla upgrade chips to be used. So to enter into this category, you have to have at least some usage of one of the new Layla chips, that is pay-to-script, loops, functions, or bitwise maths. First place in this category is 5 BCH plus tickets to Bliss 2026 for your whole team. whether that's 1, 2, 3, or 4 people, you get that many tickets. Second place is 3 BCH plus 1 ticket to Bliss 2026. And third place is also, second place is 3 BCH, and third place is 1 BCH plus also 1 ticket to Bliss 2026. Now, we had some people say that they had ideas that weren't going to involve the upgrade chips, or they weren't confident about the tooling. So we added also a mainnet track, which does not require using the Layla upgrades, but will be judged by the same judges. And for that, there is a first place prize of 2.5 BCH. And for second place to fifth place, there is a 0.5 BCH. So there's quite a lot of slots possible to win on the mainnet track. And then, of course, there is the other prizes, which you can win as well. There's the Community Choice Award for 1 BCH, which is based on the Ember token that we'll discuss a little later. And there's a bunch of bounties at over 5 BCH. Plus, of course, by participating in Blaze and submitting a powerful, interesting project, you can attract mentorship opportunities or exposure in the BCH ecosystem to investors and companies and other people who might want to hire you or reward you in some other way to do business with you, essentially. Okay, so I've got a slide here with the critical points. This is the most important things that you absolutely have to know if you're getting involved in Blaze. So the closing time for hacking is 2 p.m. UTC on Sunday the 23rd. So from now until then, you have 8 days of time to hack. So remember to stay well hydrated and well rested during that entire period. It's not a 48-hour sprint, just slam down the monsters and energy, Red Bulls, pace yourself. You might want to have a nice sprint at the end, but you do have 8 days. So work to that schedule. You have to submit a biddle on Dora Hacks before that period expires with all the information about your project, obviously. And you must also include there a link to your template, this widget factory template we have that lets you explain your project a little bit. So we've made a nice PowerPoint, Google Slides. You can go in there, just change the name and change each of the descriptions, which explains what your project is, what's the point of it, where you use the Layla upgrades if you use that, and then link that to your biddle so that way the judges have a starting idea that's kind of like a basic pitch deck. And we've given you a template there. It's really easy. It should take only 20 minutes to just go in and tweak the values listed there. Of course, you have to remember, like I said before, ChipNet track submissions must have a Layla upgrade, but for everything else, that is optional. The mainnet track, the bounties, and the community choice, it's recommended. It would be helpful if you have the Layla upgrade. I'm sure people would be more impressed by that, but it is not a strict requirement. Okay, a few other things that are just helpful to remind everyone. We've had BCH1 have announced $20,000 in initial grant funding. So they are our partners that we are going to refer some of the winning and most promising teams to. So there is not only all the BCH prizes that we discussed before, but there is a second pool of money that will be available to people who do an impressive job. So there's more than enough incentive to take this seriously, of course. And if you need to follow what is happening with them, of course, we'll refer you to them later as well. Now, it's not just them, but there is also, of course, a pool of money and resources just in the general ecosystem, which is paying close attention to Blaze. So consider yourself on show while building in public. The previous streams that we did the workshop series with Mathieu, with Mainnet Pat, and with Callisti. And if you didn't catch them then, you still have time to load them up now and go over their introductions to the BCH tech and tooling, which if you're just coming to Blaze or BCH for the first time, that will be very helpful to you. Of course, remember, it's an 8-day hackathon, so even spending a day to just review those basic materials might help get you a bit of a head start. There's also loads and loads of coding resources and links on our Dora Hacks resources page, including mainnet Pat's DApp starter template, which I very, very highly recommend people look out for. If you go and watch mainnet Pat's workshop, he walks through how that is all set up in great detail, but that will also save you at least a day of getting set up if it's the right tool for your project. So definitely strongly consider that. You can start publicizing your project as soon as you like. Obviously, at Blaze, we're excited to see what everybody has produced by the end of the hackathon, but you're more than welcome, if you are taking your project seriously, to create a Twitter account or post in the Telegram groups or on the Dora Hacks questions page. Have some cool branding to discuss your idea. The idea is to build in public, so you can already build some interest in your project as soon as you like. Don't think that you need to be super secretive about it until the end. You're welcome to do that if you want, but you're also welcome to start talking about it now. And there's 2 good reasons to do that, which is, once you start making noise about it, it could attract the interest of the community votes, the embers, that they can send to you for the community choice prize. So obviously, the more you put yourself out there, the more likely people will take an interest in your project, maybe follow it along, and be interested in sending you embers. And of course, you can also just get regular BCH donations, possibly, if people are excited by the look of your project. And maybe also the judges might be keeping an eye on your progress a bit more closely as well too. For anybody who's thinking of building with stable coins, you can try MUSD. So you can, that's the Moria stablecoin. And there will also be Parity USD launching in the BCH ecosystem on December 4th, they announced today, but that will not be in time for Blaze. So MUSD is a great place to start, and you can check that out at cauldron.quest. It's the top project there. Okay, we're joined today by Jonathan Silverblood, our Blaze founder and visionary, with some thoughts on how the project's been going so far and advice for potential entrants to Blaze. Jonathan, take it away.
Sure. Hey. Hey, everyone. So I'm Jonathan Silverblood. I was there when we set up the Bliss conference a long time ago, and that was originally discussed of as being a hackathon, but the concept kind of grew, and we ended up doing a conference instead. And then like half a year ago, so we looked at but someone should still really do a hackathon, and that turned into Blaze. Now, Blaze is a hackathon that, as Jeremy already said, isn't going to run over 2 days. It's going to run over a whole week. And it's a competition with serious money in it. We're up to roughly $10,000 and an additional large amount of money that is looking at it that might be getting engaged afterwards. And so this is something that you should really take seriously and do your best at. If you wonder, how do I win this, right? What makes this something that, how can I stand out? And then my perspective on this is that you should think less of a cool tech demo and more I'm pitching to an investor. You should think like the guys on Shark Tank. You got to have some answers to the questions of why are you doing this, and how do you expect to actually get somewhere meaningful afterwards? Because here in Bitcoin Cash, the goal isn't to just play and have fun. The goal is to actually change the world, and we can't do that unless we actually embrace that kind of thinking. Also, if you do participate and you do win, you're going to get some Bliss tickets, and those will gain you give you entry at the Bliss conference next year. And I am pretty sure at this point that Bliss next year is going to be significantly larger than previously, and we are very, very likely to sell out. And so I think you should really consider holding on to those tickets rather than reselling them, and actually get to Bliss. That will let you network and will let you get access to a lot of more potential going forward.
Yeah, amazing. And do you want to give any thoughts on how Blaze has been going so far? We've almost hit our 100 hacker target, and I know you were investigating sort of the background of different people that had signed up. Just now that obviously it's the first time experiment that we're running Blaze, but I'm sure people would love to hear an update on how you feel things have been going so far.
Yeah. Before I do that, though, I actually want to go back a little bit to something you said earlier. You said that you encourage people to submit their biddles early. And I want to harp on that one more time. Why should you submit early? Well, the obvious reason to do it is that you get more attention, you get more feedback, and when you're working in isolation, you don't always produce the best result, but getting feedback is important. You also get a chance to get some attention and grab some embers early from people who are engaged and like what you're doing. But I think the most important thing is that it lets you form a team, right? The way DoraHacks is built up is that when you do your submission, you can toggle a little toggle and say, hey, I'm looking for teammates. And if you do that, you get more hands that could help you out with your project, which lets you come out ahead. And you can always update your submissions over time. So please do submit early. Now, how are we doing with Blaze? Last I checked, we were at 93 hackers, and that's just shy of 100. But in the BCH ecosystem, this is probably a fairly large number if I go by the experiences I've had before. I took some time to dig into the answers of the hackers that have registered to see kind of like where are they coming from. And about 2/3 of the people who are registered for this hackathon have prior experience developing on the Ethereum and EVM ecosystems. About 1/3 of them have also experience with BCH before, and about 1/3 of them have experience with Solana specifically. There are a lot of other chains, and a lot of the people are also coming from multiple different blockchains. So I'm really happy to see that this is an opportunity for at least 2/3 of the hackers here to see BCH for the first time and to get to know the tooling that we have and the concepts and models that we utilize.
Yeah, amazing. I'm really glad to see Blaze fulfilling its function as attracting new talent into the ecosystem. That's what it's all about. And it's going to be fascinating actually to see how well they adapt to our tooling or what maybe new or brand, new concept ideas they bring in. Of course, the BCH ecosystem is not able to obsessively follow each other ecosystem as well. So that cross-pollination of things, I think, can only be to the better. Now, Jonathan, you're not a judge, of course, but maybe do you have some ideas of projects you would specifically like to see or you're hoping to see from Blaze, like any particular upgrade you're particularly excited to see used, anything like that?
So I don't have any specific personal preferences. I know that on my own end, I'm actually quite interested in starting to use loops for some things. But also, maybe one of the things that people don't talk as much with regards to this upgrade is one of the properties of the pay-to-script ship, specifically the larger commitment sizes. Your token commitments can now no longer be restricted to 32 bytes instead of, I think they are 128. This allows you to have more data in there. Specifically, it allows you to go past like having just one hash of something. And it means you can also use, you don't need to use as many tokens to carry a lot of state. I think this is underrated, and I hope to see people using even that compact space of only the handful of bytes it actually is to do like meaningful things that otherwise would have been costly or problematic to do.
Amazing. And do you have any other thoughts you really want to get out there for all of our hackers starting their 8-day hacking period?
Start early, right? Submit early. Show us what you're doing. We're engaged. We want to see it.
Yes, building in public. Nobody. It is a hackathon. Nobody is going to judge you if it has errors or it doesn't work or it doesn't look, perfect on the very first try. The faster you fail, the faster you can succeed. I thought it was very interesting. Naval, is very famous VC builder type guy. He has a saying which is that it's not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations. And I think that's the right mindset that you want to have, especially for something like Blaze. Okay, we have another cash stamp.
Actually, I thought of one more thing.
Okay.
So actually, a lot of the hackers are going to be new to BCH, and so we have a lot of resources listed on the DoraHacks page, and we have done some effort to make sure that you have a good and easy way to get started. But if you need to talk with someone, if you need a mentor, if you need to ask questions, come over to our channel on Telegram and talk with us. I'm sure people are more than willing to help you out and help you get started.
Yes, exactly. There's plenty of support. You can join the Telegram group for Blaze, ask around, and we'll help you with whatever you need. So we do have another cash stamp to give away. And while that's on screen, I just want to talk a little bit about the ChipNet token. So speaking a little bit of getting set up and finding your way into the ecosystem, people are going to need ChipNet tokens, or especially for the Layla track with the upgrades, or the testnet tokens if they're developing on testnet. For that, you can provide a address in the BIDL submission form, and we'll help and send you some ChipNet or testnet Satoshis. There's also a testnet faucet that you can get some, or faucet, how do you say faucet? Which you can get at tbch.googol.cash. Can also get you started with some testnet coins. And just to mention as well that you are actually, King Honk Spirit C says, getting an error with scanning whiff is empty. Well, I'm sorry, but somebody else was faster than you. That's what that error means. Somebody else already grabbed the money. But yes, developing on mainnet is actually also totally feasible. BCH has, of course, low fees, and for small amounts, ZeroConf is basically secure. So you can develop in using any of those methods. The ChipNet upgrades have already activated. I believe I saw some tweets about that. So you can get cracking with those immediately. There's also two other kinds of important tokens besides ChipNet and testnet coins. One is the Ember token. So like we have mentioned, the community prize, community choice prize, is 1 BCH plus half of the money that is donated to the Blaze streams, which you can see there's a QR code on screen if you want to contribute to that community choice prize. And the voting for that is being done by the community. So the project that gets the most Ember tokens will win that prize. Now, the initial supply of Ember tokens was airdropped, 5 Ember to each Jessica and Velma NFT holders. So those are the tickets to Bliss 2024 and Bliss 2025. So if you attended either of those events, you can look in your wallet at the address where you have those NFTs, and you will have some Ember. So you can hold on to those and be prepared to vote when we get to the final showcase stream in 2 weeks from now. And there was also 10 liquidity, 10 Ember added as liquidity to Cauldron. The trading has been actually quite interesting to observe. We have seen prices between, I think, about $2 and $100, with it currently trading around $20 per Ember. So if you are part of the community and you did not happen to have a Jessica or Velma NFT, but you want to be involved as part of the community choice, you can pick up some Ember tokens there. And of course, if you do have the Ember tokens, you have the option of staking your Ember for liquidity, or you can sell them off if you'd rather distribute your votes out to somebody else in the community. So this is another reason that it's very important to have a cash tokens address listed on your submission and to get your project out there as fast as possible. Because if it's easy to donate you cash tokens and your project is getting a lot of eyeballs, well, you're much more likely to win the community choice prize. Jonathan, I was wondering as well if you had any thoughts about the Ember. This is also a little bit of an experiment on our part, and it's been quite interesting to observe how that's working out in practice, I think.
Yeah, I have a ton of thoughts on the Ember. So it took me entirely by surprise that the valuation of it rocketed the way it did, and that it's actually settled as high as $20 or so each. I think the more important part is that this is a very interesting mechanic to make sure that the people who vote are actually our community members, right? And so when you need to do a community prize, you can either have like a public poll where anyone can vote in it, and then you get brigaded and tons of bots comes in. But by sending these embers over to the original people who took part in the previous conferences, you know that the voting tokens get distributed to the people who are actually part of your community. And on that matter, it might seem a little bit contradictory then to open up trading and put them in a liquidity pool so that people can move those tokens around. And it was a bit of a risky situation, because one outcome that could happen is that the tokens end up being really cheap and a lot of people sell their tokens. And then, like, for example, one of the participants might go and just buy a bunch of tokens and then vote for themselves and just completely rig the voting. But as it turned out, they did have value. So if you want to grab sufficient tokens to outvote everyone else, it's going to cost you a fairly significant bit, probably a lot more than what the actual price is at this point. And also, I have been following fairly closely on the distribution of these embers, and it's about 115 or so different parties that hold them. And if you look at the top holder list, you can see that apart from our small supply of Ember that we haven't distributed, we have 350 Embers that we don't really know if we're going to send out more or what we're going to do with them. We're certainly not going to vote with them either way. Apart from those, the Ember richest person has 15. So some of the people that have 10 probably stacked up on 5 additional ones. And so they represent about 1.5% of the voting power for this community content. This means that the people who came to both conferences and who most of them haven't engaged in trading, they all have 10 tokens each, and they represent about 1% of the voting power. And the people who only came to one conference is about 0.5% per person. So if you're wondering also, like, does it make sense? Is it worth it? Will my vote actually matter? Then, yeah, your vote, if you came to both conferences, like a whole percent. And if not everyone votes, it's going to matter quite a lot.
Yes, exactly.
I gotta say, so I was one of the people that had 15 Embers because I had my 2 Bliss tickets and I was holding Alex's Bliss ticket. And I told her about the Embers thing, and she got so excited. She doesn't care about this, but she was like, "Hell yeah! I made it. What, like $120 just doing nothing, just for showing up."
Yes, exactly. It's a big part of the Bliss ethos that we never wanted to release our tickets as NFTs, and then they would always, of course, be collectibles. But many projects in crypto put out their NFTs. They do it once, they make their money, and then they just sort of abandon it. And eventually, even the links go offline and all kinds of things, right? It's just sort of like a one-time grift, and crypto has a bad reputation for that, but it is partially deserved because a lot of projects do that. But with Bliss, when we released the original Jessicas, we said publicly that we were planning to continually drive value back to those NFTs, supporting our most ardent supporters that were part of the original conference and now the second edition, with the Velmas, and I've been actually very pleased at how we've done. We've done the Furu airdrops. We did other airdrops at the Velma conference. Now we have done the Ember tokens. So I think anybody who has any of those Jessicas or Velmas, which are of course in limited one-time supply, should take them very seriously, because this is only just the beginning, right? We're going to keep driving value where we can to those things. And I also think it's an amazing demonstration of how far the BCH community has come. I've been so excited about these Ember tokens. Yeah, like once you think about all the pieces that went into it, right?
Right. Let me jump in here. So, yes, we are actively and long-term thinking about how to create engagement and how to make the community more valuable. But just to be really clear, we make no commitments in any kind, in any shape, that any of the tokens we make will have any financial value specifically. And any trading you do on behalf of such expectations is expectations you hold, not expectations we hold. We just want to make sure that it's a warm, welcoming community where we do cool stuff together, and things go from there.
Yes, financial disclaimer. And of course, the main value of the Jessicas and the Velmas is, of course, to go to actually Bliss, and everybody who has been has had an absolutely fantastic time. So if you're looking at that and you're feeling a little bit jealous, well, you can have the opportunity to grab a Layla and come to Bliss next year. But I've been so excited about yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I just wanted to add something at the end about the Ember tokens.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, tell us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to say, in line with the entrepreneurial mindset, if there's any hackers that are listening and they think, I don't like this setup with the Ember tokens, well, that's an opportunity with a potential need right there. So there's a project number 1 on the list.
Yes.
If you think there's a better way to do voting with tokens and so forth.
Yeah, or distributing things or so forth. This is just our first experiment in it, and I'm so thrilled because of how many things in BCH have had to come together for us to even get to this point. Once you think about, there's probably about 7 or 8 layers of things that have had to go right in the BCH ecosystem for us to get to this point. We had to have the cash tokens upgrade, then we need Cauldron to have them traded. We had to run Bliss. We had to do the airdrop to all the Bliss holders with the NFTs. Then, of course, you have Blaze itself giving a reason for the Ember tokens. You have to have support for cash tokens in the wallets and throughout the ecosystem. And then you have to have the community engaged and trading online. So there's just so many levels of development that have come into getting the BCH community to where we are today with this type of thing. So everybody, if you check your wallets, if you have some Ember tokens, then just be ready, because probably by the showcase stream, once all the projects are there to be presented, you'll have a week, between the end of the submissions and the showcase stream, and then probably a few days afterwards as well, to review those projects and send the Ember to whichever project is your favorite. Of course, the reason we gave 5 is because you can vote 5 for just your favorite. You can do, 3 and 2 to 2 different projects. You can vote 1 Ember for each of your 5 favorite projects, however you want to do it. And you can grab some on Cauldron if you don't already have some and you want to be part of that. Right. We also have one other announcement about tokens. This is the Trailblazer token. So this has not yet been distributed, but in the same way that we were discussing about the Ember tokens before we launched it, just so that people had it in mind and it didn't come out of nowhere, we are going to be giving every participant who submits something to Blaze a Trailblazer token as a memento of their participation. So that is yet another reason. As you can see, very important to have your cash tokens address prominently listed on your project, because that is how we will send you these Trailblazer tokens once the submission period has closed. And as well as being a collectible memento as a participant in Blaze 2025, it is also going to have a special mystery use at Bliss 2026, even if you're not physically present. So I don't want to go into more details about that. That has yet to be announced, but you'll be able to keep an eye out for a Trailblazer token if you participate in Blaze and you submit a project. Okay, we're coming now to our judges. I want to give a brief mention of our 3 judges for the main prizes. These are the people you need to impress. We have Callan, Emergent Reasons, and Josh, as well as Jason, who's kind of like a guest starring judge, but he couldn't be with us today. So just to briefly mention, Callan is the node developer for BCHN and the incredibly popular and lauded Fulcrum server, which is heavily used throughout both the BCH and BTC ecosystems. He told us that he prefers clean and efficiently architectured solutions. So probably not the guy to impress with AI slop. Maybe try and make something very orderly, as he takes that quite seriously. Okay, we also have Emergent Reasons, the General Protocol's co-founder and 1/3 of the judging panel. He summarized it in a line as values code that has a clear intent and execution, but he's with us on the stream. He also made a tweet about that, which we'll put up shortly, but I'll give him a chance to elaborate. Welcome to the stream, Emergent, and give us your thoughts on Blaze and how you'll be deciding your judging.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of General Protocols, and the biggest product that we have is bchbull.com. You can go there and check it out. And if you go there, you will see one of the very first smart contracts that really did any work on Bitcoin Cash. And so we've been there and we know the pain, and it's so much better today than it was before. And I'm super excited to see what people come up with, because there's just infinitely more possible. I'm really not exaggerating much either. There's so much more possible than there was at the time when we came up with that. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot. And in that line of thought, what I'm looking for is, yes, of course, clarity. That's always important to me, clarity and communication. But it comes back to what Jonathan said, which is the entrepreneurial mindset, solving somebody's problems, whether those are your problems or somebody else's, the ticketing system or the voting system, whatever it is, something in the real world that involves money, some kind of representations, which can be tokens, and solving real problems. So that's what I'll be looking for, is people who try to solve some kind of problem. And I want to make an extra note that it's not only things that are right now, like Jonathan said, things that can grow, but for me as a judge, I'm also totally open to things that are real problems to be solved, but maybe further down the line in the future, because we don't want to limit things to just right now in a hackathon, right? We're looking for a little bit broader than that. So yes, solving real problems, either ones that exist today or ones that are further down the road, improving the concept of something that can be done. An example of that would be the quantum root wallets, which may be a little bit further down the road to be relevant, but there it is, and it's very nice to have a proof of concept that such a thing can be done. Yes, so solving real problems, clarity, and then I have a personal bent towards what I call the safety mindset, which I posted on Twitter. So of course it's a hackathon, you've got to do things quickly, but at the same time, everything we deal here is with people's money. Not during the hackathon, of course, because that's all testnet, chipnet. But when you're making these things, it's important for me, who's also looking for employees, for potential future employees, to look for someone who clearly at least has it in their mind that safety isn't a very important thing. That's what I'll be looking for.
Do you have, you can't necessarily give the game away too much, but do you have maybe a particular language that you're interested in, or a specific type of app, in the sense of like some people might do more financial apps, some people are more interested in like gamification, some people are more interested in, you know, AI or creative remixing? Do you have is it just, you know, everything will be judged on its own merits, or do you have any particular categories that you think are more likely to pique your interest?
Oh man, yeah, it's a good point, and it's something that I've said many times, that there's emeralds lying on the ground all over the place, right? For people to pick up. There's so many opportunities and things, because it's still a lot of things haven't been developed yet. So I think there's opportunity available everywhere. All of those things that you listed are valuable. Another one that you didn't mention is identity. So
Yes.
use cases that involve identity and
Or privacy?
yeah, privacy. Yeah, also, yeah, like privacy pools. That may be a very high bar to reach for, like a privacy pool, ZK type pool. But yeah, if somebody achieved that, yeah, that would absolutely
impressive.
get attention. Yes. Yeah, but all of those topics are great. All the ones you mentioned, plus identity.
And do you have any thoughts on, obviously, like Jonathan said, we've very deliberately chosen this to be an 8-day hackathon. So it's not a, you know, 24-hour sprint. It's not a 48-hour sprint, stay up all night and just jam something out the door as fast as possible. A lot of other hackathons, kind of the way they work is by the end of the 48 hours, it's sort of a bit less important what you built and more just the concept, the way you present it, maybe having some nice slides, or the ability to pitch the idea, and the actual MVP of it is going to be, you know, very, very basic, right? But we've done it with an 8 day, so there's a little more time for people to actually take a day or two even to think through their idea very carefully, come up with a decent pitch for it, and then actually do some solid engineering. You know, I mean, a week is not obviously loads of time, but it's certainly enough time that a dedicated team of 3 or 4 people, or even just a productive individual, can get quite a lot done. So I'm wondering if you can speak to that in how you'll be judging the projects.
Absolutely. That's actually something I intended to mention and I forgot. So the second point there is clarity. And this is significantly speaking to what you're talking about here. Like, there's enough time to take time to communicate clearly. And what Jonathan said I wanted to say exactly the same thing, and he stole it, which is this ecosystem, you know, when you're trying to win something, you got to know the rules and you got to read the room and understand how to win. And reading the room in this case is, like he said, BCH ecosystem is not just in it for the tech, right? We're in it to win. We're in it to win. And to win, you need everything in the real world, right? You can't just win on the tech. You have to win on every point to some degree. So there's the tech, there's communication, there's marketing, there's awareness. There's a lot of different things to win on. And so, yeah, communication, being clear, being constructive, being positive, actually getting the word out there about your thing is also important in the real world. And while that may not be everyone's thing, there's definitely people who either you can do that yourself, or go grab somebody, you know, find a teammate to participate with you who is good at, you know, getting out there and communicating well. So yeah, make a team and come at it from that angle of winning.
Yes, competitive mindset. I was very interested that Jonathan said in his thoughts, you know, the first thing he said was, this is a competition. You should be in it to win it. It's not just, oh yeah, let's do a bit of coding. Obviously, we encourage people to have fun and enjoy their time with Blaze, but the slogan is inspiring innovation through competition, right? So we do really want to emphasize on that competitive element, and probably the winning teams are going to have to be taking that quite seriously. Okay, any other final thoughts you wanted to give out to people as they start their Blaze hacking journey?
If you want to see an example of what is done today, you can go to app.bch.bull, or you can go to cauldron.quest, I believe is the address. Yes. But you can look at Cauldron Swap. You know, go out there and see what's available, and that may inspire you to do something better, because you may look at them and be like, oh, this can be done much better. So you could improve on those ideas. Or you could look at things in other ecosystems that are already done that are just well proven and don't exist yet in BCH. Go do that. There's a lot of low hanging fruit. Or if there's, of course, some novel things that you want to do, those are also super interesting as well. But yeah, read the room. Maybe have a chat in some BCH groups about what is interesting to this ecosystem and what does it mean to become P2P electronic cash for the world. And yeah, I think you'll find lots of opportunities.
All right, amazing. We do have another cash stamp to give away, and while somebody rushes to scan that, I've got to give a brief word on behalf of Jason. So he is not part of the 3 judges for the mainnet and the chipnet track, but he is in a very prestigious position as author of all 4 of the Layla chips, and so he is going to be judging 4 of the bounties. We have 4 different bounties for 0.1 BCH each, which is essentially Jason's favorite usage of each of the upgrades. So whether it's pay to script, bitwise, loops, or functions, if you impress Jason with your usage of any of those chips in particular, he will just subjectively award you the winning bounty. Now, this is very important for a couple of reasons. The first is that you can, of course, win a bounty as well as a mainnet prize or a chipnet prize. So it's very easy to be included in the consideration for this. And secondly, of course, if you get his interest, it's very powerful because he's well known in the BCH technical community. If he likes what you're working on, he potentially would. I don't want to promise anything on his behalf, but he, his credibility that he gives to saying he's interested in your ideas would certainly attract a lot more attention to your project. And potentially, if he gets really excited, he might even start building on it or collaborating himself, especially if you do some sort of open source tooling, which he has a big passion for. So he, in his absence, he gave us instead a statement, which I'm going to read for you here so you know what he is specifically looking for. Quote, excited to review Cash VM contracts for BCH Blaze. For the bounties on best use of each upgrade, I plan to look for ranked. Number 1, uses where the upgrade improves UX or auditability, e.g. a flow previously requiring multiple setup transactions becomes atomic, eliminating possible error states or latency. A construction previously requiring multi-input state management becomes possible in a single input, etc. And 2, uses where the upgrade maximizes bandwidth/fee savings, bytes saved times frequency of use. So in true Jason fashion, I think technical efficiency is very high on his agenda, and that's how you can potentially impress him with these new chips. Okay, we also have our 3rd and final main judge joining us on the stream here. This is Josh Elithorp from the BCHD node development and many other projects, including Clementine's Nightmare. Maybe he can give us a brief update on that too. It's been a while since I've heard the latest for that. He said in a sentence, he likes code that runs stable and is easy to maintain. But just as Emergent did, Josh, maybe give yourself a little brief intro and then tell us about Blaze and what you're going to be looking for in your judging.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, sounding brilliant.
All right. Excellent. So, well, I've been in the BCH community for a really long time. I got in right when BCH was created back and known everybody here for quite a bit. And I'm really excited to see what people put together for the hackathon. And what I'm looking for are tools that are composable, things that other developers can use, libraries that make it easier to develop Bitcoin Cash applications. And I always have a strong interest in peer-to-peer cash. I've also done some tooling with Cash Ninjas and the Reapers for NFTs on BCH using cash tokens. And I think that the tooling there definitely could be better. And to kind of reiterate what Emergent Reasons was saying is some of the products that we have definitely could use some upgrades, right? So we have one great swapping site, but we have one. We have one good NFT trading site, but we have one. And so being able to expand that offering and the amount of polish that we can provide for better solutions, I think is really important. It's not just that the tools work. They have to be inviting to be used. People have to go and look at the site and be like, oh, this looks really cool. This looks like something I want to interact with, something that feels like more than just a technical showcase. And so I'm going to be looking for polish. I'm going to be looking for the ability for other developers to use your work. I'm going to be looking for that level of innovation because I believe that we work best when we look at things designed as building blocks that we can use together to build more complex things. So that's definitely interesting to me. Privacy technology is very interesting to me. Honestly, I'm not as excited about efficiency gains. Honestly, I think those are not something I'm going to provide a lot of credence to, not because they're not valuable, but because the transactions are already really cheap. So wait, you're telling me like this 1 cent transaction magically is a quarter of a cent now? Does not matter to me. It does not matter to adoption. It doesn't matter to the long-term roadmap at all. So I don't care about that. I care that it's usable, that it is something that can be easily integrated into wallets. I care that it is practical for the end user to use. And the moment it hits practical, my efficiency gain mindset just goes away. It's like, okay, don't care if this practical thing is now even more practical. That doesn't matter to me. So I'm really excited to see what everybody puts together. A big fan of Jason and the work he's done on these chips, and just can't wait to see what people build on the best, P2P cash chain in the world.
Well, I love to hear that because I love that your mindset is so different to Jason's in that way. I think Jason would sacrifice a lot to get a couple of extra bytes.
Jason's mind is already living in the 8 billion user world, right? Like that's where the efficiency gains matter.
No, we can get there. If we have a great idea and we do need the efficiency,
then it's going to matter. Exactly. It'll be a great problem to have.
Exactly.
Well, it just goes to show, it takes a village, right? I'm so glad that in the BCH technical community and in the BCH community in general, we have a widespread of interest because then, they all stack up on top of each other as everybody optimizes and improves on the part that they're most drawn to. And I think it's also important for, in this case, a judging panel to also have a spread of perspectives because it really helps projects that might shine for one judge, but maybe not attract the attention of the others. And actually, while I have you both here, that's a good question, Emergent and Josh, to say, are you planning to speak to each other and kind of say, oh, I'm excited about this project, or I'm looking at that? Or do you think you're going to go into the bunker, come up with your favorite projects, and then just say, this was my take, this is what it is?
Well, I think that it's really important for us judges to talk to each other, not necessarily to convince each other that another product is cool, right? But just to be able to technically vet the ones that we all think are impressive, right? So like if I see a project that I think is really impressive, I'm going to look through the contracts, I'm going to look through what they've done in CashScript, but then I'm going to want to talk to another dev and be like, hey, do you like how they implemented this? Like implementation details matter. Quality of the how you craft that solution. So I think those conversations between the judges are required. I might come in and have some that I think is going to be more exciting than the other. But I'm not here to sell what someone should like. I'm here to like what I like and ask questions and get more clarification on whether or not that's the solid solution that I think it is, and be able to bounce that idea off of other smart individuals.
Emergent?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anyone knows the people who are the judges here, right? You have the least worry in the world about, oh, are they going to influence each other, right? Like these are some of the hardest minded people in the world, so that's not really an issue. But I did want to add to this discussion, which is on this kind of entrepreneurial winning mindset, is that Josh mentioned a few things like polish and is it easy to use and have you clearly thought about the users, and I mentioned safety and does it actually have a niche, and do you communicate clearly about the project? And then Callan, is just like, the code better be good or you're dead, right? So there's a lot of different aspects here. And what that should speak to the hackers, what they should hear from that is, I need to find a good team. Of course, there's magical people, and I know a few of them who can do literally everything, like Josh, but most of us need a team to be able to do all the things well. And so that's a great way to approach this, right? You're like, oh shit, we need people who can do good artwork. We need somebody who's good at making presentations and talking. And we need somebody who's just, hardcore coder. There's a team right there. Like, go out and find somebody, advertise to get somebody on your team if you don't have all those yet.
Yes. We've had a question in the chat from DAP Developer. I just saw the hacking period is just 7 days. Any chance it could be extended to 2 weeks, especially for weekend builders? So I will say the answer is no, we will not be extending the hacking period. This has all been advertised and planned out in advance. We can't be changing it at the last minute. But that said, the hacking period of 8 days is designed so that you have 2 weekends. It's the weekend right now. You have the 15th and the 16th, and submissions close on Sunday next weekend. So even though it is only an 8-day window, there is still 2 weekends involved. So I think we've done actually a fairly decent job of accommodating that. Josh, I wanted to hit a little bit more on, you mentioned the Cash Ninjas project that you did in BCH, and that was very interesting, not only for the initial tooling that it created, but also because that was still in sort of the early rising of AI, which you use to generate the images and also the descriptions and so forth for that. And when you mentioned that, the visual
images were all drawn. Actually.
Oh, the images were all drawn.
Ninjas was all done by
yes.
The same artist as the Reapers.
Yes.
And Tachu. It was great. So we're
all right. I just remember.
Now we did do the descriptions and names for those Cash Ninjas inside of AI just to add some flavor and a little bit more fun. We wanted them all to have a unique name. We wanted them to have a background. We wanted clan stories. But the main reason we did it was for the tooling. We wanted to get everybody off of Smart BCH. We wanted people to be able to use cash tokens. We needed to get that migration done. We needed the right tooling to get those projects over so that, that legacy network didn't continue to draw any kind of interest or have people using it. And the truth is that cash tokens is a better solution to that problem anyways. So trying to get that tooling out there, I'd be really excited to see if anybody wants to extend that tooling with more features. That's always interesting. I do like it when people extend open source projects we put out there. But we also did the bridge for the Reapers, and several other projects did use our bridging solution. And Matthew was excellent about that. Obviously, a big player in the cash token space. And so really excited to see as that tooling improves around NFTs. And I think that there's some actually really cool stuff that still hasn't been done on the BCH side with, dynamically evolving NFTs and changing art and things like that have been done on other blockchains, but not on BCH. That being said, I still care more about peer-to-peer cash and privacy and those other types of solutions for my judging. But and if there was a ZK pool, that would be really interesting for me as well.
Well, it's a very hot topic. There we go. So anybody interested in the ZK tech who is watching this, especially with the ride of Zcash into the public consciousness the last couple of weeks, 2 of the judges have shown very strong interest in that. So hint, hint. That's a tricky area, but if you can get one expert in the cryptography, then you can maybe wrap it up into some cool kind of app, and that would definitely be.
Well, what's nice about that is we've had some issues with, we have some really cool privacy tech for BCH. People have used Cash Fusion and they love Cash Fusion. Problem is Cache Fusion sucks on a mobile phone because background devices and background services are difficult to do. And the way that Cache Fusion operates makes it difficult to put in a lot of wallets, even with quality libraries around. And, congratulations to the wallets that successfully did it, like Stack Wallet and obviously Electron Cash. There's been a few that have integrated it and it works okay. But you need to leave your phone in a certain state. And you can't let it go to sleep and you can't do this. And it's like, no, man, I need a privacy tech that just works on a mobile phone. So for me, it's less about using ZK technology. It's about how do we get a smart contract that provides those privacy features that anyone can use regardless of device without a background service constantly running?
Yeah, amazing. I'm wondering if you had any final notes you wanted to give before we move on to the next slide.
No, I think we're good. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right. Brilliant.
Hey, Jeremy, I did want to add something real quick.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the different ideas, and I want to remind the hackers, or maybe they've never been in a place like this before, I'm not sure, but when you're looking at ideas and like Josh said, building on top of something else, or from my perspective, even just doing it better is totally welcome. And I think there's so much alignment around reaching the goal of P2P cash for the world and growing the user base, the general user base, that, for me, who makes a product and my livelihood depends on the product that I make, I would be ecstatic to see somebody do what we've done and do it way better, better user experience, just totally do everything better than we have done. That would be great, because that actually achieves the goal faster than we're doing it already. And then I can do other things. So don't be afraid of taking something that's already done and just even doing it better. It's another approach.
Yeah, whether it's in BCH or elsewhere, BCH is still quite small, and it's now got a lot of power, but a lot of the ecosystem around it definitely could still use building out and just porting ideas from other chains, maybe rewriting them from account model chains to UTXO chains, or even making a service that helped other people to, build those bridges or to move, capital or projects from one ecosystem to another. I think could be incredibly.
For example, there's, just as a simple example that comes up in my head, right? There's perpetual in the financial area. There's perpetual contracts, which are massively popular in other chains that have them. Don't exist on BCH. Nobody's ever done the work to make it happen and come up with it. So there's, again, just super low hanging fruit, very nice low hanging fruit all over the place.
Amazing.
I'll actually also jump in here because we're clearly on the topic of what could you actually build here. And while we're having discussions, I've made a list of 2 things I actually want to see. One is an NFT auction platform. I was up in Norway meeting with the Shadow Wizard, the Moria gang, and Killian was there and introduced me to a concept of doing NFT auction contract that I hadn't heard of before, where instead of people putting their bids in separate places and then whoever has the highest bids wins, the contract was designed so that whenever someone makes a bid that is larger than the previous bid is paid back to the original owner. So there exists only one bid at a time in the system. And it was also had some incentives and other things built into it. And I thought that idea sounded really, really great. And that is something that I think is approachable and could fit within this 8-day hackathon. So if anyone want to tackle a NFT auction platform that could potentially be high volume use, you could potentially make a bunch of money as well if you do that well. And NFTs, of course, they can represent a lot of other things like houses and cars. And so that can be extended to actually real world asset trading in an auction platform as well over time. Now, the other thing that I'd like to see, not because I actually know what it is, but because I've heard it been said a couple times, and this might be a little targeted. So I'd like to see someone do Lampoid signatures. I've heard you can do them now, and we have a chain where everything you need for it is there. So if you're someone that knows about Lampoid signatures and you think they have a use case and a real world value, this is a good time to demonstrate that.
Yes, indeed. I think the idea, especially of an NFT marketplace, is a fascinating concept. Cauldron is doing a killer job with the fungible tokens, and we do have Tap Swap, which lets you trade both fungible and non-fungible tokens. But Pat is a super busy guy, and he's certainly not working on Tap Swap full time. So I think there's a huge room there for a team that is committed to that, to build it out. And it's such a proven model on every other chain, needs a thriving, slick, easy to use marketplace. And you basically, if you can offer a good enough platform, like, the volume will find you, because all the other projects need somewhere to distribute their tokens, essentially. So you're already kind of sitting on a gold mine, a sats mine there, if you can get things going in the right direction. Okay, speaking of that, we have our bounties. I just wanted to give a little bit of a mention of that. So there are 10 bounties available. Like I said, 4 of them are from Jason's judging of the chips, and 6 are different projects being offered, some for up to 1 BCH in prizes. You can win a bounty as well as a main prize, like we said. So if you did a fantastic job on any of these bounties, you could win the bounty and also first place in Blaze overall, or one of the other prizes. So definitely for people who are interested in that, there's a very high upside to combining those 2 things. But you, of course, can also just win the bounty completely separately. So if it's an idea that sparks your curiosity, you can just go for it. Definitely to mention, there's information on the bounties about how they work, but everybody should be aware that the bounty sponsors are listed in the bounties themselves. And it's encouraged to actually reach out to those bounty owners. You've heard a little bit from the judges here, but the bounty sponsors are the judges for their own bounty. So if you have any questions about it, reach out to them. If you're interested in the concept, reach out to them. I've already had somebody reach out to me and talk to me about the battle.cash bounty that I offered, and I was very impressed. They already had some basic ideas. We talked about it a little bit. I helped refer them to some resources to take the idea further, and that is potentially already going to lead into us doing a collaboration even before they've actually made the project for the bounty. So obviously be respectful of the time and attention of the bounty sponsors. They're not there to hold your hand through absolutely everything. But you can certainly reach out to them, say you're interested in the idea, and ask them any questions you might have. So there's lots there. Yeah.
On that, Jeremy, the 4 best use bounties, you don't have to contact us and tell us that you're applying for one of those. We will consider every submission to be viable for these. It's just that we didn't have a better place to put them in the setup. So they're there so you can see them and know they exist.
One of our bounty sponsors, Big Hair Tom, wanted to make a comment. He couldn't be on the stream, but he said it was important to say for his bounty, which is about a unified address format, that anything moving the ball forward towards a unified address format is going to be monumentally helpful to BCH. I got the impression from him that, again, he was not maybe focused so much on the execution as the idea and the momentum. He was probably really looking for a collaborator for this idea above and beyond Blaze itself. So doing a great project for that would be, of course, amazing. But in that one specifically, I think he's just looking to create, momentum, and an enthusiastic person might get a great reception from him, as with the battle.cash discussion that I had as well too. And the whole idea of the bounties has actually been very popular. I don't know what we're going to do with this after Blaze, but I can see us potentially creating a year-round system for people to offer bounties to the community. And I even recommend that as an idea if somebody wants to build something for Blaze, some kind of year-round bounty offering and accepting and submitting system for the BCH community specifically, I think could be incredibly powerful, because just with the experience of Blaze so far, we've already seen lots of people interested in offering bounties, lots of people interested in trying to win bounties. So there's clearly something there for people to consider. Okay, we also need to give a mention to BCH1, the Hackcelerator that is running in January. Like I said, they have announced $20,000 in grants. So that's a good chunk of change that you could potentially be involved in. We'll be discussing that in more detail on the BCH podcast tomorrow at midday UTC with the main organizer. So if you're interested in this element and to get his thoughts on what they're going to be looking for in Blaze, you can tune into that. That will be a separate stream. And also to just highlight that they've released their new cash tokens explorer, cashtokenmarkets.bch-1.org. You can look up the Ember token there and see how the distribution is going. Jonathan already finding that tool quite useful, I think. So it's great to see the innovation and tooling around the cash tokens ecosystem continue. Okay, we have another cash stamp to give away and also a final opportunity for questions. I've been monitoring the chat. We already answered one question there too. If anybody who's on the call has any questions or thoughts to throw in there, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, we will kind of move on to closing out the stream. Any questions from anyone? Nope. Going once, going twice. Sold. Okay, we've got to give a mention to our lovely sponsors, including the BCH1 that I was just speaking about. Let me just get the information up here. We of course have BCH1 at bchorg.com. We have, hang on a second. This is where I forgot to pull up the information. Here we go. Here's the read. BCH Bull is a unique web application that allows users to take long positions with leverage or hedge with Bitcoin Cash against a number of other metals, fiat, and crypto assets at bchbull.com. General Protocols prides itself on developing permissionless, trustless, borderless financial solutions for the whole world. We are working at the frontier of UTXO blockchain development at generalprotocols.com. The Bitcoin Cash podcast combines the latest cryptocurrency and Bitcoin Cash news with deep dives on BCH topics, featuring a variety of guests from the BCH community at bitcoincashpodcast.com. Selene Wallet puts easy, no hassle, instant payments in the palm of your hand. Experience the future of money, a global digital economy powered by Bitcoin Cash at selene.cash. Cash Stamps allows users to create and redeem BCH stamps for gifts, promotion, and adoption of Bitcoin Cash at stamps.cash. The Blockchain for Good Alliance harness the transformative power of blockchain technology to tackle some of the most critical challenges facing society and the world at large today at chainforgood.org, or the link tree on the slide. BCH1 is the signal layer for Bitcoin Cash, community discovery, builder velocity, and capital alignment at bch-1.org. And Big Hair Tom that I mentioned before is an old timer that wants wallet addresses simplified. Okay, we have one more little cash stamp to give away there. And our final reminders and announcements. Get hacking, go crazy. We will have another stream on Saturday, the 23rd at 2 p.m. UTC, where we're going to check in maybe with the judges on how they've seen some of the projects so far, how Jonathan is feeling about things. Maybe we might have teams that have something they want to give a little preview of, or something like that, just as the final sprint begins. And of course, the final reminders to everyone that they only have 24 hours left and they should be preparing their templates and so forth. If you are hacking, definitely make some noise. We are going to be looking for teams to interview as well for that stream and otherwise. If you have any questions about Blaze, you can go to the Dora Hacks question tab on Telegram at BCH Blaze or Twitter at BCH Blaze. And of course, keep up with BCH in general. It's always going on at the Bitcoin Cash podcast and the BCH Bullet.substack.com. Jonathan, any final words that you wanted to add?
No, it's all good.
It's all good. Okay. All right. Brilliant. And to close us out today, we have a video from our sponsor, Blockchain for Good. So we'll play that and then wrap the stream. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed this broadcast. And oh, here we go. Sean asks, can we do tokens that can only be sent once? Yes. And they just need to be sent to contracts instead of standard P2P KH. All right, good. Good that we got that question answered. Okay, so this is from Blockchain for Good. Thank you all for watching and happy hacking.
Global affairs here at the Blockchain for Good Alliance, or BGA for short. So thank you very much for having me with you guys today. So going straight into it, I want to share with you guys about the BGA as well as the hackathon track that we sponsor. So what exactly is the BGA? We were launched in April 2024 by Bybit, the world's second largest cryptocurrency exchange. And we are a long-term collaborative non-profit initiative. And our main goal is really to contribute to societal good by using blockchain technology to solve real-world problems. Now, that is a mouthful, but at the end of the day, our goal is to position blockchain as a tool that has the capabilities to address and solve problems in the world that are very well aligned with the 17 SDGs. So we are a global alliance. We give millions of exposure to our partners and projects, working across hundreds of alliance partners in many regions of the world. And we work with various partner types, from universities, blockchain clubs, all the way to government institutions and intergovernment organizations like UN agencies. People in the world today tend to still think that crypto is just directly equals to blockchain or blockchain equals to crypto. And we all know that's not true, because blockchain in itself is a technology that ultimately does hold a greater potential for impact and social and public good. So we are well covered, well sponsored by our BGA Web3 Key Fund to carry out our initiatives. And there are 4 key initiatives that we do across the world. The first one, the hackathon. This is, of course, where we sponsor hackathon organizers to add a Blockchain for Good track. This is where we give resources such as bounty pools, such as support for the projects for new and established Web3 builders to start building, creating projects that can really solve critical real-world issues. We also have an internal incubation program. So this is where we offer support to eligible projects, and we give projects that we incubate all forms of support, all the way from marketing to branding, community development, even grants that are equity free, and potential further on investment support by some of our key partners. So projects that come into our incubation program can really get that stamp of approval that they are a Blockchain for Good type project, which gives them a lot more prestige in the Web3 industry. Of course, we also have what we call the joint fund. So this is our third pillar, where we work with collaborative funding pools with different partners, and we support the development of blockchain projects on our partners' ecosystems that are aligned with our BGA lens. So we've worked with, IGOs like the UNDP, we worked with L1s, we're actively in discussion with many other different partners and blockchain ecosystems to continue pushing the joint funds forward in the world. And last but not least, our 4th major pillar is the BGA Awards. So this is a year-end event typically held in November every year to really recognize the best and, of course, the top contributors of the year who have pushed blockchain's use cases for social impact forward. From our global connections, we have worked, like I mentioned, very closely with different bodies of industries, from governments to universities, stuff like that. So international partnerships have really run the BGA across many different verticals in not just the Web3 industry, but sometimes even the Web2 industry. We have very impactful hackathons in different regions across the world, giving us the opportunity to really connect at a very grassroots level to many different players, such as yourselves. And of course, we do celebrate the best in Blockchain for Good through awards ceremonies. And we do a lot more beyond just our pillars to really support Blockchain for Good. Now, really diving a little bit more into the BGA hackathon, we tend to focus on 5 major tracks. So all these tracks are, of course, aligned with the 17 SDGs, or sometimes this is, of course, not exhaustive, and other use cases of Blockchain for Good can also be considered. But in general, we focus on 5 key focuses: security and transparency, global education development, life and health, sustainable development, as well as reduction of inequality. So you can see how really our main primary goals tend to be very aligned with the UN SDGs. And of course, scoring rules for projects that are building on our hackathon. We have also 5 major ways in which we score projects. Of course, social impact being the largest of measuring how impactful your project is on society. And of course, we look at how well blockchain is being used, or more importantly, is blockchain even necessary, even core to your solution? Because sometimes we also like to say, if blockchain doesn't solve a problem that you're solving, don't use it. But of course, if it really is a key component and can solve a critical real world issue, by all means, please use it and tell us how well it's being used, because we always want to support PGA type projects. And of course, innovation, because we want to always see, is the product new? We're always on the lookout for new and creative and innovative solutions that leverage blockchain technologies to solve critical issues in the world. And if the product is not new, or your prototype is not new, or your idea even in the hackathon isn't novel, how does it actually improve existing solutions out there? And of course, the fourth aspect that we look at is sustainability as well as scalability. And sustainability, not in the ESG sense for this one, we're looking at how sustainable the project can be beyond just funding and grants, because ultimately a business, a project has to be also self-sufficient. It has to be able to have a logical business model that can be scaled up, and perhaps scaling also not just in the local region where it's being developed, but how well it can actually go across borders to be used in other jurisdictions, in other regions. And last but not least, user experience is always very important. We want to understand how easy it is for people with limited blockchain knowledge, or people who don't really care too much about what technology a application is being built on. How easy is it for them to adopt your product for use cases, especially at scale? Just a little bit of a shout out to our incubation program as well, because our incubation program at the BGA is also one of the very central and core components to the BGA. And we take in about 20 projects every year across 2 different cohorts. So one quick shout out to the inaugural batch of the incubatees. One key standout project from our first batch of incubation projects is Ethic Hub. So this is a very notable project, so you guys can go search it up. And it has been so impactful in scale and, you know, in how it carries out itself, that Bybit has of course even come in to invest $1 million into Ethic Hub. So through the BGA, Bybit has given them additional $1 million in liquidity to support that actually helps them to, you know, attain their goals even faster. So beyond, of course, all these types of thinking that, you know, just incubation is only for purely for financial support, we also gave projects such as Activate Hub a lot more different forms of assistance. We also give them legal and compliance support, brand development, marketing exposure, as well as other strategic resources that they need in order to access high impact partnerships and network. So of course, we're actively on the lookout for more projects like Ethic Hub that really uses blockchain technology to solve critical issues in the world, to solve problems faced by underserved communities. The joint fund aspect that I was talking about just now, partnering across institutions, this is where we work with global institutions for more collaborative impact. So the first 3 that we really did, one of them was with a Malaysian L1 called Marsverse. We're also working with the UNDP for the SDG Blockchain Accelerator, and we work with DeSci Empowerment Hubs, ORASci, and HER2. So these are the first 3, you know, joint funds that the BGA has done in 2025. So we're very proud to continue such efforts and scale up to even more partners as the years go by. So all these are how we bring together the best players in the ecosystem of blockchain to really push forward blockchain for good use cases. That's the last pillar, the annual BGA Awards. This is just a snippet of last year's 2024, our inaugural one that was held in Bangkok. Every year we try to do in a different, you know, region. In 2025, this is going to be done in Copenhagen, Denmark, in UN City, and who knows where we'll be going for 2026 and 2027. So of course, the annual BGA Awards is concluded after a massive BGA global hackathon. Typically is 100,000 USDT prize pool. And at the conference itself, this is where we give an international spotlight. We bring together government bodies, IGOs, NGOs, impact investors, and really every key player in the Web3 for Good ecosystem. So every November, here it is, the BGA Awards. Of course, that is all. So if we really wanted to talk more about the Blockchain for Good Alliance, this will take hours on end, or maybe even be never ending. So really, if you guys want to take this discussion a little bit deeper, on the right side, there are 2 Telegram QR codes, one for myself and one for Freya, our executive director, and the other one at the bottom for me, Glenn, the director for global affairs. So we're always on the lookout for more projects and partners in our ecosystem. So always do feel free to reach out. And of course, here's a call to action. We're to join our global movement. Then you guys can always reach out and find out more about the Blockchain for Good Alliance. So thanks again for allowing me this a little time to be here with you guys. And at the end of the day, all the best in whatever you guys do, and see you in the industry.
All right. So yeah, just a quick clarification that the Blockchain for Good is one of our sponsors. We're very glad to have them be part of it, and they run a number of their own hackathons, which you can go and check out by following those links. So that scoring methodology is for their hackathon. It's not the way the Blaze judging will be done, but of course they might also be paying attention to the Blaze projects, and presumably will use that rubric in deciding which projects they would like to donate to and support further. Okay, thank you everybody for watching, and we'll